A quick note before I start to talk about Guns N' Roses. Some of you more observant people may have noticed that I'm wearing sunglasses today, which I don't normally do. Why would I wear sunglasses inside? Well, there is a reason for it. And it's not the reason that when somebody asked Gene Simmons, why do you wear sunglasses inside? He said it's because the sun never sets on the planet cool, which is a very stupid response and very Gene Simmons response. It's not that. It has nothing to do with that. It's not a fashion thing. The thing is that I woke up yesterday blind in one eye. My left eye, totally 100% blind. I woke up yesterday. And I won't talk about that too much, but I did go to the ophthalmologist yesterday. And I'm not sure, but I suffered, they call it a grade 4 hemorrhage in my eye. And it's not as bad today, but I'm just as blind. I'm still 100% blind today. It's not as painful as it was yesterday. Yesterday was very, very painful and super sensitive to light. And it still is quite sensitive to light. It feels like somebody is poking me in the eye with a fork or a knife or maybe even a spoon or some kitchen utensil. But that's why I'm wearing glasses. If you can see, my eye is, I don't know how well the camera can pick it up with the lighting in here. But my eye is, there's my nice, beautiful blue eye. And there's my gnarly, blood-filled eye. The ophthalmologist said, he said it's so full of blood. When he looked in it with that light, you know, when you put your chin and your forehead here, he said there was so much blood in my eye that he couldn't even see to the back of the eye. So I have to go have an ultrasound and see what happens. And it's quite stressful, to be honest with you, and even scary too. But anyway, that's why I'm wearing glasses. But that's not enough to stop me from entertaining you people. And I'm going to talk about Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusions 1 and 2. This is a bonus. You're going to get 2 for the price of 1, or for the price of 0, I guess, because you're not paying for anything. This is also the first time that I've ever done a request of one of these videos. And I wish I could remember the guy's name. I assume it was a guy, because I don't think too many chicks watch my videos, which they're really missing out. Come on. But somebody and I'm still on a bit of a Guns N' Roses kick. You know, I saw them 2 weeks ago in Merida, and then I talked about that concert and Chinese democracy. And then I saw them last week in Mexico City. I talked about that concert and GNR Lies. And somebody in one of those videos commented that, well, not so much a request, but he said, I can't wait to hear you talk about Use Your Illusions. And I didn't really have any intention of doing them. But as you can see, the title of this series is I Want to Talk About This Album. And that comment made me think, yeah, I do have something that I can say about this album or these albums. Depending on how you look at it, you can think they're obviously they're physically two separate albums, but realistically, for all intents and purposes, or some people say all intensive purposes, they are one giant album. I talked about this before, my history with Guns N' Roses. I'll do it a little bit shorter this time for people who don't know. I got into Guns N' Roses early in 1987. I saw them live for the first time in August 87. Appetite for Destruction was 3 weeks or 4 weeks old. Loved them, and I knew them before that. I'd never heard them, but I had known them, I guess, the year earlier when Live Like a Suicide was out. I used to read a lot of music magazines, and that world was that scene was really part of my world. I knew all the bands. There was not a band I hadn't heard of back then from LA or anywhere, I guess, that was in that genre or style of music. And so I got into Guns N' Roses in 87. Appetite for Destruction is possibly my favorite album ever. There's maybe the ones that I could make a case for being, I have, some albums I consider my top favorite albums ever. Power Slave, Iron Maiden, Shout at the Devil, Motley Crue. The ones that I could consider maybe the top 4 that I would say could be vying for the #1 spot are Master of Puppets, Among the Living, Rain and Blood, and Appetite for an Onion. Those are probably my top 4 albums ever. And given that, on any given day, is what I was trying to say, any one of them could be #1. These other ones, Shout the Devil, Power Slave, whatever, they're in the top 10, but not quite up that high. So I can't stress enough how much I love Appetite for Destruction. I know and I did a video talking about Appetite for Destruction a year and a half ago or something, if you want to find that. The link is not down below in the description. But I knew not just every lyric, every little subtlety, every little, guitar lick, every drum fill. I know that album as well as I know anything. And Lies, which I talked about last week, I loved the second half of that, the mellow part of it. The other ones, the Reckless Life and Move to the City, not nearly as good, but still Lies was overall, I love that album. These Use Your Illusions, they are it or they, I'll probably go back and forth with what I refer to them as, probably the most disappointing albums I've ever heard in my life at the time and even now. My opinion of them hasn't really changed much over the years. These came out in 1991. I think it was in August or September. I remember it was still nice weather, maybe late August, early September. I don't know. And they came out both on the same day. And, after Appetite for Destruction and then GNR Lives was like a stop gap, to just kind of fill in some time, to tide people over, just like a little snack between meals. So the anticipation for Use Your Illusion was huge. And I think at the time I didn't want to admit that I was disappointed, but I knew I was. And over the years, I became very aware that I was and still am disappointed. Not just because the anticipation was so high, but even now, I listen to them. I listened to one. I listened to two this morning. I've basically been, because of my eye, been in my house yesterday and today with windows closed and keeping it as dark as I could be. I can't work. I can't look at my computer. I can't really look at my phone very much. So I was lying in bed listening to two today. I listened to one a couple of days ago. So they are fresh in my mind, and they're just, for me, I just don't like them that much. I could even say two, I don't even like it, I don't think. I mean, one has some great songs. I would say two has one great song, a couple of songs that I think are pretty good or okay, and a couple of songs I don't even like. When I went through this today, and I haven't listened to either of them in full for years. Well, I'll get to the songs a little bit later, of course, but they just seem they were actually a clue, I guess, 17 years earlier about what to expect from Chinese Democracy, which came out in 2008. Very, very different band than Appetite for an Onion and the band that did Lies. They were a rock band, just the five of them, rock songs, and that was it. And then these Use Your Illusion albums were just very, whatever word you like, bloated, dense, thick, heavy, not heavy, musically heavy, but just so much stuff going on. They had a sixth member, Dizzy Reed, joined as a full-time member of the band. And something that I kind of realized this morning, what I don't like about about Use Your Illusion 2, which is, this, it's the blue one. Almost every song has piano. Now, I have nothing against piano. Some of my probably favorite songs and favorite albums ever have piano. And I think piano works. I think piano on Yesterdays sounds beautiful. It's perfect. And maybe Estranged, November Rain, those songs deserve piano. But there are some songs, especially on the blue one, Use Your Illusion 2, that the piano just seems very forced, out of place, inappropriate. It just doesn't add anything to the song. It's like they had the song, they said, oh, we let's put some piano on top of that. And it just sounds so, as I said, maybe out of place is the best way. Maybe Guns N' Roses, I think. I don't like to, try to pretend like I know what was going on in their mind, but it's almost like they, if somebody told me this was what they were thinking, I wouldn't be surprised. In that they wanted to distance themselves, I think, from Motley Crue, Poison, bands of their peers and their other bands in that genre, who were, in some ways very one-dimensional, and there's nothing wrong with that because that's some of my favorite music ever. But I think Guns N' Roses wanted to be much bigger. They wanted to have piano and obviously in November Rain horns and, very extravagant and everything. So especially Civil War, the piano, I guess it's in the last chorus. I don't need your Civil War, and the piano's going. It just sounds so unnecessary. I'll talk about that more later when I do the track by track. So just generally speaking, these, it was just too much. And I think even more than that, I've talked about this a lot. They're just way too long. I've talked about this with, Chinese Democracy, Blood Sugar Sex Magik by Red Hot Chili Peppers. And again, I'm going to talk about it again. All the best albums, all my favorite albums, a lot of the albums that came from the classic era that I think a lot of people consider the best albums before the CD era are very short. Kiss is my arguably, or maybe not arguably, my favorite band ever. I have a tattoo of them. I have Kiss Alive down there. I don't know if the camera can see it, but I've had the physical album since 1976. And all those classic Kiss albums from the 70s, they're all 32 to, I guess, 35, maybe 36 minutes. Van Halen albums are around the same. I think Diver Down maybe it's 30 or 31. And then when Sammy Hagar came in the CD era, their albums were 65, maybe 70 minutes long. And then instead of being 3.5 minutes long, the songs became 5.5. And I think Guns N' Roses, the Beatles albums are 30 to 35 minutes. AC/DC and Black Sabbath albums, I think they're a little bit longer, maybe 40, maybe a long classic Black Sabbath album where AC/DC is like 42, 43 minutes. And I think it must be very hard to come up with, I've never written a song or that even goes without saying. It's very hard to write and record enough music to make an album great, but these albums are each like 76 minutes. I checked when I listened to them, and they're both right around the same. I think one is 75 and the other is a little bit under 76. The other is a little bit over 76. So 76 minutes each. So when you put those together, that's 152 minutes of music. That's way too much to take in all at once. Maybe now they wouldn't have done it differently. Red Hot Chili Peppers this year released Unlimited Love. It was 16 or 17 songs, 73 minutes. Then a couple of weeks ago, they released Return of the Dream Canteen, which is around the same. So at least they were separated. Metallica did Load and Reload. They were recorded all the same, but they spaced them apart about a year apart, which gives you a little bit more, I think, or gives them, the albums, a little bit more room to breathe. Who else? Jack White also this year. He released Fear of the Dawn in, I think, April this year, and Entering Heaven Alive a couple of months later. Although each of the individual albums, they weren't as long as, they weren't 76 minutes like Use Your Illusion. And especially now, it's hard to find 76 minutes. I like full albums. I like listening to an album from beginning to end. And it's very hard for me, and I think most people, to find 76 minutes to sit down or do something and listen to one album for 76 minutes. But you can always find 32, 35, 40 minutes for an album. So I think these all go together about being bloated. Even their videos, everybody knows was it Strange? Which video had the one with dolphins? I think that was Strange. Just big. They had so much money. They had so much going on. They wanted to be seen as artists. Axl did, I'm sure. I don't know about some of the other guys. But so that's my overall opinion of the Use Your Illusion albums. And something really amazing, going back to what I said about Appetite for Destruction, how I know that album so perfectly. Especially and if you talk about which one I like better, definitely number one. When I looked at the track list of number two, when I listened to it today, there were, I think, 3 songs that I didn't even, I know the song titles, but when I read them, I thought, I don't even remember how that song goes. And they were, let me see, Shotgun Blues, Breakdown, and Locomotive. All the other ones, I don't know all the words to them, but I at least know, some words to them. I know the choruses. I know the melody of them. I had no recollection whatsoever of Shotgun Blues, Breakdown, and Locomotive. Although when I listened to it and heard Locomotive, I did remember the chorus. Something, locomotive. I remembered that. But when I saw them, I thought, I have no idea about any of these songs. And I know it's been the cool thing to do in the internet era for sure, and maybe even since before then. Everybody has this thing where, you know, taking the best of each album and making them into one album. Mine would be overloaded with songs from one. And even on the first one, they're not... I'll get to that when I get to those. I like the first one much better. I don't love that album at all. And I would say on the second one, I don't know if I mentioned this, there's one song that I love and some that are okay, some that I think are shit. Is that enough? I'll get into track by track now. So this is going to be a long one because although I don't have too much to say about each song. So the first one on Use Your Illusions 1, Use Your Illusion. Another thing, speaking of that, I fucked up the title. It's Use Your Illusion. I remember even at the time, and this, you know, it shouldn't matter, but I think it's all part of the big picture. I also didn't like the artwork when these came out. I thought that artwork sucks. Appetite for an Onion had amazing artwork, both the original and the one that got banned, and then the one with the cross with their skull face. Awesome artwork. GNR Lives was really, really cool cover. You know, the tabloid cover. I thought this cover sucks. Like, what is it? I still don't know what it is. It's somebody. It looks like an Italian painting or Greek painting or something. Somebody is sitting there writing in a book, and there's somebody back here. I don't know what this was. And the title, Use Your Illusion, what is that? I thought Appetite for Destruction, that's a great title. And it suits the music. But Use Your Illusion plus the album cover. So it's almost like even before I heard it, I had not a bad attitude towards it, and I think that is part of it. That's why bands put so much effort into packaging and, you know, album titles and everything, because it is part of it's all kind of goes together. I'm not going to say I hate this album because of the artwork or the title, but it is part of it. So the first song on Use Your Illusion, singular, 1, is Right Next Door to Hell. And there are several songs on this album that are like this fast up-tempo rockers, you know, kind of aggressive songs. And to be honest, I don't like really any of them on this album. And I don't know what happened, you know, because Appetite for Destruction had Welcome to the Jungle, Out to Get Me, Night Train, My Michelle. You know, they were, you know, same description, you know, up-tempo and fast rockers. But I don't know, none of these songs that I'll lump in with that one in that same category, I just never really liked any of them. And I had forgotten how this one goes. I just knew the chorus, right next door to Hey Yeah. Axel's screechy voice. Cool bass intro to that, but I don't know the words to that one. Never did. Right Next Door to Hell, that's all I knew. I remember it was one of their, I don't know if it was Axel's neighbor or Izzy's neighbor that was complaining about them, and I don't know, something like that. So not much to say about that. Dust and Bones, I actually like that one. That's a good one. That was sang by Axel and was it Duff? No, that was Izzy. I like that song, and I like it. Seems that I like the more quieter songs, similar to I talked about Mother Love Bone, Apple, and Shine. I like the quieter songs more than the rockers. So I do like Dust and Bones, one of the better songs on this album. I still never really learned the lyrics to it though. Live and Let Die, that's a great song. Obviously it's a cover. I don't care. I love it. That's everything about that. I like that song a lot, Live and Let Die. Don't Cry. This is one, I didn't really like it that much at first. It's grown on me over the years, and I do like it now. It's a good ballad. Not sappy like some other ones I've talked about, but Don't Cry. And I remember when this came out that Shannon Hoon sang on it. And I could never really hear him, but when I've listened to it, I was listening to music almost exclusively with headphones now. I can actually hear him much, much clearer now with headphones, in the chorus especially. Don't Cry is a good song, yes. Next is Perfect Crime. Motherfucker, it's a perfect crime. That's another one very similar in the same vein, I think, as Right Next Door to Hell. Perfect Crime, just a rock song that I just never got into. Motherfucker, it's a perfect crime. Yeah, buddy, it's a perfect crime. Another one that I didn't learn the lyrics to and just don't think too much about it. But not a bad song. There are some ones that I'm going to talk about that I think they just kind of suck. Those ones, they're not really bad, just not for me. You Ain't the First. I like that one too. That's one of the better ones on this album. I didn't get into it much, but when I listened to it the other day, I did enjoy it. That's a good song. You Ain't the First. Bad Obsession. Hate the harmonica. I just don't like the harmonica. And I think it's I know it is Michael Monroe that plays the harmonica on that song. It's a bad obsession, you're my, and that's another one I can't remember the lyrics to. Don't really like that song. Back Off Bitch, I'll put that in the same category as Perfect Crime and Right Next Door to Hell. Fast rock song that I just don't like it. Back Off Bitch. And I remember the chorus, back off, bitch. Down in the gutter, lying in the ditch, something like that. I remember the chorus, but the verses totally escape me. Double Talk and Jive, I'll put that in the same category. And it's kind of strange, I think, that since they got back together in 2016, they've been touring now for over six and a half years. I think they do double Talk and Jive every night, which I don't really get. It's not just that I don't like it. It just doesn't, I mean, I know a lot of Guns N' Roses fan. I never really hear anybody mention that as their favorite or that they're really looking forward to hearing that. And I guess also put that in the same category, but never got into that song. And when they play it live, they extend it it's like a 3 or 3.5 minute song on the album. But when they play it live, it's stretched out to 5 or 6, maybe 7 minutes. Don't really care for that song. November Rain, is that right? Yeah, November Rain. Now I will put this down to talk about November Rain. When they were recording these albums and they were talking about them, I remember quite clearly Axl in one interview saying, and I've never seen it since, so I don't know what the source was. He talked about, he had this song, he was working on the song. I don't remember, I think he said it by name. I think he did say it was called November Rain. And he said it's going to be a big song with orchestra and everything. And he said, the part that I remember was, he said, I want to record this perfectly, and if it's not recorded perfectly the exact way I want it, I'm going to quit the music business. I don't know if he was being dramatic or if he was joking around, but I do remember him saying that. So he was already putting, the bar very high. He was setting very lofty goals with that song. That reminded me of Iron Maiden, Empire of the Clouds, on Book of Souls from 2015. I saw, man, they have a song that's over 18 minutes long. That must be incredible. And then the first time I heard it, and I thought, that's it? 18 minutes? I listened to that for 18 minutes, and that's it? And that was the same thing I had when I first heard November Rain. I thought, this was his perfect song, the one that he was, dedicating his life to. And here it is. And for years and years, I just didn't care for it at all. I thought, this is I guess I'll repeat myself. I didn't dislike it, but I just thought, this song is just not interesting. I just didn't get it. Over the last several years, that's changed. I love it. One of my favorites on this album for sure. Amazing song. It took me decades, I guess, to realize it, but I like November Rain a lot. And the same thing happened with the Iron Maiden book, Empire of the Clouds. I'd say that could be in my top 5 Iron Maiden songs. Iron Maiden have 16 albums, something like that. They've got a huge catalog. So I love November Rain. I think all the things that I didn't like about it back then, I like now. And I really like it when they do it live. It's maybe almost the focal point of the show. So November Rain, fantastic song. It just took me a long time to realize it. After November Rain is The Garden. The Garden is, up to this point, my favorite song on this album. Love that song. And I'm not even a big Alice Cooper fan. I'm not even a casual Alice Cooper fan. I was just never into his music. And I know he sings 2 verses on this. I think Axl sings the first and third verses. Alice Cooper sings the third and fourth. Killer song. The Garden is awesome. I like the acoustic guitar. I love Axl's vocals. You're all at home. Your friends, they aren't at home. Everybody's gone to the garden. I love Axl's vocals. I love Alice Cooper's vocals. I like the quiet part. I like the heavy part that Alice Cooper sings the heavier part. I wasn't really scared. Lost my virginity there. If you're lost, no. If you're lost, no one can. I'm confusing the two verses. Turned into my worst phobia, a crazy man's utopia. If you're lost, no one can show you. I love that song. Garden, up to this point, my favorite song on this album. So this album does finish well. Some albums, you know, the songs you tend to like are at the beginning. This one for me, they're back end heavy. After the Garden is Garden of Eden. Now this one I would also put in the same category as just crazy, energetic, frantic, similar to Right Next Door to Hell, Back Off Bitch, Perfect Crime. And I think the reason I like this is the video. The video is awesome. I love that video with Axl. I guess it's like a fisheye lens effect, and Axl's, you know, right in front of the camera, and the band's around him all. I guess it looks tight because it's a fisheye, and it looks like it was all done all in one take. That's a great video, which I think enhanced my appreciation for the song. Strange choice for a single or for a video though, because it's not really it's not a sing-along song. It's not particularly memorable. The fire is burning out of control. It's a problem you can't stop. It's rock and roll, which is kind of, Guns N' Roses don't really sing about rock and roll, at least by this point they weren't. But I like that song, Garden of Eden. I prefer the Garden. I don't know why I'm comparing them, just because they have the word garden in them. But Garden of Eden, I like that song. Don't Damn Me, another one that I'll file this under Right Next Door to Hell, Perfect Crime, Back Off Bitch, Garden of Eden. Never got into it. And I saw a couple of weeks ago that they sound checked it at some show in South America. I don't know if it was in Peru or Brazil or where it was. And I saw the Guns N' Roses community was freaking out. And I thought, how's that one go? And I remember the riff. And I listened to it and I thought, And because they'd never played it before live, apparently, which I learned after. And I saw the video of it and it didn't really sound check it. Slash just noodled it, played the riff a little bit. So Don't Damn Me, don't really care about that one. Bad Apples. I got some genuine imitation Bad Apples. Free sample for your peace of mind, only $9.95. Oh, what a great song. Maybe I like that one even more than The Garden. I'm not sure about that, but I like that one a lot. I like that kind of a fun rock song. Bad Apples is excellent. As is Dead Horse. Sick of this life, not that you care. You're not the only one with whom these feelings I share. I like that song a lot. It's got a cool, very simple acoustic intro. And then sometimes I feel like I'm beating a dead horse. That's a great song too. So we're getting on to something, but the album is almost over. The last song on this one is Coma. And Coma is probably, it's the one most often that I cite as my number one, not just my favorite song on this album, my number one favorite they don't have a big catalog, but it's my favorite Guns N' Roses song out of all of them. I think my top three in whatever order are Rocket Queen, One in a Million, and Coma. Coma could be number one. It's just got so much going on in there. It's heavy. It's got a lot of change in it. It's got all kinds of different parts. There's just so much going on. It's long. It's epic. I think it's over 10, over 9, over 10. I think it's over 10 something. Hey, you caught me in a coma. I don't think I want. Hey, you caught me in a coma. I don't think I want to ever come back to this world again. Kind of like in a coma, because no one's ever gonna make me come back to this world again. Suspended deep in a sea of black. I got the light at the end. I got the bones on the mast while I've gone sailing. I could leave so easily. I think my friends are calling back to me. I said, yeah, well, they're leaving it all up to me when all I need is some clarity. And all I need is someone to tell me what the fuck is going on. Kind of like it in a coma. I'm conflating. I know that song Cold. Best song on the album by far, and I would even say the best Guns N' Roses song in their entire catalog. So that's it for number one. Now number two, this will probably be really quick. Civil War, as I mentioned, it seems unnecessarily long. I didn't realize how long some of these songs were. I remember Civil War is 7.5, almost 8 minutes, unnecessarily long. It's a pretty simple song. Coma is 10 minutes. November Rain is 9 or 9.5. And those songs should be long. They've got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of different parts. Civil War, I think, would be much better as a 4-minute song, 5-minute song even, instead of a 7.5-minute song. And I just don't like the piano. 14 Years, I like that one well enough. One of the better ones on an album that I otherwise don't really like. It's been 14 years. Axl, I think, sings... this is an Izzy song. I think Izzy wrote the song, but Axl sings it, or Axl sings the choruses, or Izzy sings the verses. I'm not sure. But it's been 14 years of silence. It's been 14 years of pain. Good song that one is. Yesterday's, for sure, my favorite. The only song that I love on this album. As I said, I'll go on. I love Yesterday's. Great vocal. That's one I mentioned earlier where the piano fits the song. And they played it live when I saw them in, they started the tour here in Mexico City. They did 2 nights. I went to them both. They did Yesterday's in the encore. I think it was the second song. I think they didn't play it the first night, but they did the second night. I was very happy to hear Yesterday's. Great vocal. Maybe one of Axl's, for me, one of my favorite Axl vocals is in that song. Knocking on Heaven's Door. I like that one too. I had that on the single of, I think it was Welcome to the Jungle in probably 88. It was the B-side to the 12-inch single. And I've always wondered if it's the same version. But I do like it. And you can see there's some similarities between the two of them. They both have, a cover. The first one had Live and Let Die. This one has Knocking on Heaven's Door. I like them both. They had Izzy singing. Did Izzy sing on... Izzy sang, I think, on Dust and Bones. Or did he? I can't remember. But I like Knocking on Heaven's Door. Dow Wow Wow. Knocking on Heaven's Dow Wow Wow. Next is Get in the Ring. Stupid song. I had totally forgotten about that song. When I listened to it today, the only thing that I remembered about Get in the Ring was Axl calling out Andy Secher from Hit Parader and Bob Guccione from, was it Penthouse or whatever, the porn magazine? Hustler, whatever it was. I can't remember which one. And just a very challenging people to fights. And I just remember that being, even at the time, I thought it was stupid. Who else was there? There was somebody else that he called by name. Maybe only those two guys, Bob Guccione and Andy Secher. And I had forgotten that the song actually sucks too. Not just the calling out of the people, but just stupid lyrics. The song itself, the music is not good, and totally unnecessary piano in that song. Get in the Ring sucks. Pointless song. Shotgun Blues, as I mentioned earlier, that was one that I didn't even remember. And even now, I just listened to it a few hours ago. I didn't even remember anything about it. I know it had piano. I think the first 10 songs on this album had piano. So Shotgun Blues, no idea what to say about that. Breakdown. Now, if I remember Breakdown when I listened to it this morning, I think I liked, or was it Shotgun Blues? I think it was Breakdown. I liked the first verse, and then kind of like, it's so hard to get these books out sometimes. Similar to Dead Horse, how it starts with the acoustic guitar, and the first verse is totally different, then the song changes. I think Breakdown was like that too. Even if I see the lyrics, I don't know if I'll remember. We all come in from the coal, we come down from the wire, and everybody warms themselves to a different fire. The song doesn't ring a bell at all. But if I remember, if it's a song I remember, I think the first verse was good, and then I lost interest. I don't know. Next after Breakdown, Pretty Tied Up. That song was good. I remembered that one. I Know This Chick, She Lives Down on Melrose. I think it's, that's another Izzy song. I know this chick, she lives down on Melrose. That's a good song. That's lyrically, that goes back to, I'm not saying that they wrote it back then, but it's more lyrically fits in better with Appetite for Destruction. Good song, Pretty Tied Up. Locomotive, that's another one, as I mentioned, forgot. Locomotive, that's all I remember about that song. Nothing to say. So Fine, I like that one. That's Duff singing. Axl, I think, sings the first verse, and then Duff comes in. Good song. That one, the piano in that one, I think is very appropriate. Sounds very nice. Good song. So Fine. Estranged. Now, maybe this one would be similar to November Rain. A lot of similarities. Love song. This one I got into even less than November Rain, and I still haven't really come around to it. I'm not even, I know all the melody of it. I barely know any lyrics to Estranged. And that video was on whatever, I forgot the name of it, Much Music. It was on Much Music all the time. I saw that video all the time. I don't remember it being played on the radio too much, but I never got Estranged. Maybe I need more time. That sounds like a lyric from November Rain. Sometimes you need some time on your own. Maybe I need more time with Estranged to really get it. I guess 31 years hasn't been enough. You Could Be Mine. Now this one I like. This is one of the rare of the two, and I guess it's 30 songs altogether. Of all the rocker songs, You Could Be Mine is for sure my favorite. I still don't love it. I like it. Yeah, better than Right Next Door to Hell and Perfect Crime, Back Off Bitch, all the other ones. And that song came out before, I think several months before. It was in the soundtrack to Terminator 2. I think it was in the movie, but it wasn't on the soundtrack or something. I think that was in like May or June. I remember seeing that movie. I saw that movie with, nobody's going to know what I'm talking about. I don't think anybody's even watching now. There's a guy called Rakib Ismail. He was a big superstar football player. He played, I think he played at Notre Dame, his college at Notre Dame. And then instead of going to the NFL, he played for the Toronto Argonauts, who trained in Guelph, Ontario, which was where I lived at the time. And he was there in the theater when I saw Terminator 2. But anyway, You Could Be Mine, good song. Something funny about that, I think I didn't mention this when I did my little bullshit review of the Guns N' Roses concerts I saw last week and the week before, that Axl does this thing like Ace Frehley always points, and a lot of bands, they kind of mimic, or they mime is the word, not mimic. They mime the lyrics of their song. Like when Metallica plays For Whom the Bell Tolls, and the line, take a look to the sky just before you die. James Hetfield always looks to the sky when he does it. And who else does stuff like that? Slayer. Is it Seasons in the Abyss where you go insane? And Jeff Hanneman used to go like this when Tom Araya would sing Insane. And Axl, when he sings You Could Be Mine, the line, with your bitch slap rapping and your cocaine tongue, you get nothing done. You get nothing done. When I saw them both times, I paid attention to this, and he did it in every line because it's in the chorus. He would sing it with your bitch slap rapping, and he would do this, and your cocaine tongue, you get nothing done. It's not good or bad. I just thought that was noteworthy, kind of funny. But yeah, that's a good song. You Could Be Mine. Don't Cry. Totally unnecessary. This had the exact same musical song, just different lyrics. I hadn't heard this probably since shortly after this album came out, and I listened to it this morning. And if the other one didn't exist, I think the lyrics to the other one are way, way better. They fit the tone of the song more. That could just be because they're the ones that I'm accustomed to. If the original version had never existed and it was only this alternate lyrics, maybe I would like it just as much, maybe more. But I thought the lyrics were just kind of strange. Just like Black Sabbath has an alternate version, or the same version musically, but alternate lyrics to, I think it's War Pigs. War Pigs for sure. There might be another one that they have alternate lyrics to. And it just sounds strange to hear a song that when you hear it with different lyrics. It's just kind of strange. And I think pointless to include it on the CD. Trim the fat, get rid of it. put it as a B-side or something, or put it on, you know, now there's always anniversary issues, reissues, which, by the way, these two are coming out November 11th. Big, huge new editions of these, remastered live tracks and everything like this. So kind of pointless to have a second version of Don't Cry. And then the last one, My World, I want to just throw this CD in the garbage when I talk about My World. Totally pointless. That's the epitome of filler is My World. It's like not even a song. It's just and it makes it even worse, I guess, when it's on the end. It's like, let's put this on to make the album 76 minutes instead of 74 minutes. It's kind of like a techno, weird, spoken word thing. Shit, complete garbage. So how many was that? That was at least one shit song. Get in the Ring and My World are complete garbage. Don't Cry with the alternate song, alternate lyrics. I mean, it's a good song, but totally unnecessary. And then some other songs that I just think are so-so. So there you have it. Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. I know a lot of people really, really love these albums. Obviously, some people would. I know there are people that think the same way of these albums, the way that I think of Appetite for Destruction, and I understand that. I would never criticize or argue with anybody for liking them. Just and maybe it depends how old you are. Maybe if you're only 35 now, even at 40 or even younger, and you know you got into Guns N' Roses because you heard November Rain on the radio or Don't Cry. Maybe you like these better, but I think the general consensus was it wasn't just me. I think a lot of people found that these were a little bit disappointing. I did for sure, and I know my friends did too. So that's it. And thank you to and again, I apologize that I don't know the guy's name and I couldn't find it. Sometimes YouTube is not the best to go back and look for comments, but somebody did kind of request this. So thank you to whoever you are, and. I typically wouldn't think that I take requests. Somebody else mentioned that they wanted me to talk about the new Cult album, which I don't think I can do because I haven't heard a new Cult album since 1980. When did Ceremony come out? That was the last Cult album I bought. That was like 1991 or 92, 93, around there. So I can't really take requests. But, you know, occasionally maybe somebody might mention something casually and I might think, oh yeah, I like that album or don't like it. Typically, I'd rather talk about things that I like. I think it's more interesting. But these are not my favorites, but I did enjoy talking about them and sharing them with all 172 people who are going to watch this. Whoever recommended it, thank you. And that's all for Use Your Illusions 1 and 2.